G'day everyone, welcome to another show, Speedcars Down Under, episode 3, I think it is. Tonight we've got Paul Charlesworth joining us. Welcome, Paul.
Hello, mate. How are
Yeah, good, mate, good. And our special guest tonight is the one of the best speedcar drivers in Australia in my book, and that's Tommy Payet. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks, mate. How are you, boys?
Yeah, good, mate.
you? Yeah, good, Tom. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you, mate.
So we're going to get straight into it, Tom, because the question on everyone's mouth at the moment is Bennett Motorsport folding in at the moment, hanging up the boots for the last time. So what's your thoughts on that, mate? And, of course, what's the future hold for you with your driving?
Yeah, well, I'll start with, obviously, with the Bennett Motorsport thing. We've, I've been extremely lucky to have the opportunity to drive for Rodney for the last, I think, 6, nearly 7 seasons. And, he obviously gave me my best opportunity to do everything we could together as a team. And it just, obviously, it's got to a point when Rodney's he's getting on a bit and he's done it long enough. And I think he feels, and we all sort of mutually agreed in the end there that we're probably ending at a on good terms. It's never fun to end at the end of the day, but we obviously went away to America, and last year we had a massive year and did everything we sort of wanted to. We didn't achieve all the goals that we wanted, but we still had a really good run and did a lot of racing. So once we went to America, we've, I guess, sort of signed everything and done everything we wanted to do. And while we were away, or I started heading home, but it's obviously been a long-term goal for our crew chief Todd Waddell to eventually move into sprint cars, and that's awesome, the opportunity that he's got and that he's getting, and we all Bennett Motorsport, we all fully support it. So he got given an opportunity and had a good chat with the boss, and we all sort of as sad as it is, it's probably all agree that it's a good time, and we've ended on good terms and ended on a high, really. Todd can go and chase his dream and in the sprint car world, and hopefully I'm not too far behind him with either the speed cars or a sprint car ride. And like I say, Rodney's done it long enough, and I think he feels at the moment it's probably a bit tough to try and get someone else in to take Todd's place, or like I say, we've all done it long enough together that we would feel wrong for doing it without one of us. The last few years, we've all sort of had an agreement, a very strong agreement, that if I got an opportunity to go somewhere else, Rodney would pack up the team, and same with Todd. And we all had the agreement that if Rodney one day just pulled the pin, then it's it is what it is. We all agree on it. So yeah, look, it's I personally think Rodney was the best race team. Well, not think, I know Rodney was the best race team and car owner in Australia. Not only quality, but quality of equipment and the racing that we did, but just a absolute top bloke. And that's where I say it's as sad as it is. It's I've got to really look back at the opportunity that we had, and I do, like I put it on Facebook to say that we're all family, and I guess we've all got to back each other in every opportunity that we get. I feel like we've I really wanted to do one more year, to be honest. It would have been cool to end to say this is our last year, but Rodney also looked at doing that, but then it's one of those, you just never know. Something could happen halfway through the year and it ends in tears, or, at the moment, like I say, we all we wanted was an Aussie title in the end. we tried bloody hard at getting it. But in saying that, we got the opportunity to go to America as a team and race, and that's a once in a lifetime opportunity that we all wanted to do, and we fulfilled that. So it's it's a massive loss to speed cars in Australia. Everyone knows that. But like I say, we've all ended in good terms, and I think we're planning this weekend to have our final goodbye, catch up on beers, and probably all drink our sorrows away and cry and hug each other and tell each other how much we love each other and go from there.
I'll make sure you pass on my best to him anyway. because he's
Yeah,
a
I will,
lovely
mate.
bloke. I like Rod. Very
Yep.
competitive man. He's very competitive at the cow cutters. He doesn't
Yep.
mind throwing a bit of money around. So
Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
the future hold, Tom? Where are we looking at, mate? Have you got another ride, or are we still in the process of setting something up?
Yeah, at the moment, obviously, as much as we sort of all, had it on the back of our minds for the last 12, 18 months, this was sort of going to happen in a way, but it still happened obviously abruptly and coming back from America. And to be honest, I haven't got anything at all. I've got nothing lined up at the moment. I'm obviously going to start putting the feelers out there, and I've got some still. I know I've still got some of my valued sponsors on board for my personal self, so that's obviously going to be a bit of a help. And yeah, it's ain't the end of me for sure. I definitely want to keep racing speed cars and whatever. I've obviously been extremely lucky with Rodney with the opportunity and all the other opportunities I've always had, and I'm just living on a high. So I guess one massive door is closing, and hopefully another door opens, and we can you can keep seeing me going around. That's the plan.
Awesome.
well, it'd be nice to see you still in the speed cars. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely not finished with speed cars. It's unfortunate, like I say, the way that the team's ended, but it's not definitely not the end of myself or uh, I, who knows? You might see Rodney around the traps again. You're still going to see him down there, but it's just yeah. I still obviously want to race a speed car. I know there's a massive year coming up. As much as Simpson hasn't been one of my favorite tracks, I'm so hungry to win a national title that I'm more than happy to work with someone on something potentially for that and aim as a maybe do 2 or 3 races for the year in someone's car or something, or work with someone to then maybe have a crack at doing that Aussie title. So that's the end goal out of this year, I guess. But like I say, I'm definitely not done with speed cars. I love them, man. They're one of the best classes we've got in speedways. So
Totally
you can't beat the racing with them.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I was a virgin till last year at the Australian title. I've only seen what was in Tassie, and there was only about 8, 9 cars down here. But to get to the Australian title and watch that sort of racing,
Oh yeah,
just unbelievable. Like
yeah. It's a whole nother level.
I'm sucked in, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So let's talk about the States. So obviously you went over there, you ran for Link, Link Chassis. So a big shout out to them.
Yep.
You hung out with Keith Coons.
Yeah. So Link Chassis Australia, Jake and Paul Robinson, and the whole Robinson family. Obviously it was a terrific opportunity to join up with them and put a deal together. And obviously with the Link deal, Jake had some pretty good connections. And it was funny. It all started just with a phone call. I actually rang Jake one day, probably 6 months ago, or probably longer than that now, and said, "Hey, me and Jake have been mates forever, and good mates at that." And I said, "Look, I want to use your name or your connections in America to try and get a ride over there." Rodney wasn't on board at all for the whole deal. It was one of those pipe dreams. He wasn't against it, but he just sort of, he knows the cost of it and the logistics and the whole headache behind it. So I said to Jake, behind Rodney's back, I want to put a deal together and then I can, once it's sort of together, I can say, hey, this is what we're going to do. So Jake got in contact, funnily enough, with Keith straight away and said, hey, this is what we want to do. And surprisingly to us, Keith was all for it. So I sort of had to then bust my ass pretty quick to get a money sort of package behind to help fund a lot of it. And, extremely lucky to have a lot of people jump in, and unbelievable amount of people. And Paul, you were one of them. It was, terrific for you to get on board, and forever thankful for it. And
it's my pleasure.
Yeah. But then once we sort of got serious about it and knew we were going to get a bit of funding behind it, took it all to Rodney, and Rodney said, yep, I'm on board with that. If you can make that happen, he'll look after a few things. So Rodney purchased the car himself, the roller off Keith, and then we sent one of our engines over there. Which had to go back to Toyota to get freshened anyway. So that's fresh, brand new when we rocked over there. And, obviously you have all these emails back and forward, and Jake sort of looked after all the emails side back and forward. And we organise all the logistics and everything and the whole deal. It's a pretty massive deal to do all of that, even though we sort of bought a car. That's the easy part, really. The rest of it, logistics, hotels, hire cars, trailers, mules, tooling, everything. There's so much to it. Memberships, licenses, insurances. There's an unbelievable amount of effort that goes into organising it. But at the end, the light at the end of the tunnel was no matter what, we were somehow getting to work out and we get to meet Keith Coons. So we pushed hard and worked hard for that. And, it was funny that just the emails back and forward to Keith, Jake saying, oh, he's offering to help us with this and he's offering to help us with that. And his guys are, we did a podcast in the lead up to it with the work area podcast over here. And he said, oh, Keith said his guys were listening to that in the workshop and this and that. And you hear all this stuff and you think, like he's a Hollywood superstar to us, all of his guys. And then, we rock up the first day to Keith's shop. And to be honest, I didn't expect to see Keith that much or to have that much to do with him. And man, Keith Coons is exactly like Rod Bennett. They're the same sort of person,
Yeah, for sure.
He opened the door for us and said, boys, welcome to my shop and have a look around, and showed us around. And the whole first day we looked through the shop and here's all your cars and what do you need, and we did this and that, and he's helping us put stuff together. And we're like gobsmacked. I'm standing a meter away from Keith Coons, and all of his guys are working there for him full time. And just the way they run stuff over there is, I can go into a bit more depth after, but it's just insane. That's their business. That's their workplace. So, but yeah, we even the first day we put the cars together. We fired them up, made sure everything was sweet. Keith and his guys actually put the cars together for us, put the engines in, had everything ready. We literally rocked up, dropped our seats in, and got our belts done and fired them up. And then this is probably one of the coolest moments of my life. Apart from my kids, I've got to say that. Keith Coons took us to a Mexican restaurant. So there's actually a cool photo of all of us, Bennett Motorsport and Jake Robinson Motorsport, and Keith Coons sitting at the head of the table. We're eating tacos and having iced tea and all sorts, man. It was just one of those. Me and Jake kept looking at each other, just laughing across the table, going, "What are we doing here?" Just unbelievable. So it as much as it's it's just words, it's unbelievable how welcoming those guys were and how helpful they all were, and it just set the trip right off. So we knew no matter what happened was going to be an awesome trip and a memorable trip, and it was. So it was bloody cool. Yeah.
Good. So what did you actually think about running with the Americans? Like, because they do run elbows up, don't they?
Yeah,
like, they're not forgiving.
Nah, like obviously, in the lead up, I didn't have any expectations. I wanted to go. To be honest, I'm always a very humble person. I've always prided myself on being humble, but I went over there with the confidence, thinking that I could run. I honestly thought I could crack a top 10, at least one. So when we went there and we watched, the first hot lap group went out at Coles County, I was like, what? Like, excuse my language, but I thought, what the fuck are we doing here? It's, I've heard so many times and seen so many guys go and have a crack and heard how hard it is. And these guys are unbelievably good, but it's like everything you learn in Australia to be smooth and fast and momentum and this and that and whatever. It's like they just throw it out the window. They don't give a shit. Go as hard as you can. You got to drive through people. You got to move people out of the way. I'm there trying to put consistent laps together, and you might roll in the top to get you found a nice line to roll around the dirt, and then three guys slide you, and then that throws that out the window. Then you're just battling to try and hold a position. Then you're in defense, but then while you're defending one guy, another guy drives around the outside of you. You just okay. Admittedly, these guys we jumped on probably two of the hardest series, the Extreme Outlaws and the USAC series. Yeah. Obviously, they're two national series, and they're all virtually the same guys in both. But just the way that they race is relentless. it's not as it's nothing like racing here to an extent of there's not one guy that just drives away and you're racing. You get a heat race of 8 cars and I've got to beat that one guy. Over there,
Yeah.
there's a heat race of 8 cars and 8 of them can win the heat race.
Yep.
But there's
Yeah.
not a lot of passing in heat races because they're just all so good.
Yeah.
It's like I even said it to the guys. It's like going over and racing. I was racing 30 Caden Manders or 30 Caden Browns, or even it's just everyone's so even over there. And even qualifying, the hardest thing we sort of found, or I found, was you're rocking up to a new track. Over here, you get your hot laps and then you get your heat races. You might do 2 or 3 heat races, but if you can finish in the top 4 or 5 in both your heat races, you normally start in the top 5 or 6 in the feature race. By the end of the feature race of 20 laps, 25 laps, you've worked out the track, you've worked out the car, you're happy, you know who you're racing against. Over there, you get 2 laps of hot laps, you get 1 warm-up lap, 2 fast laps. You pull in, you haven't even figured the track out yet. You're trying to wrap your head around, 1, their schedule, but 2, the track. And then you're straight into qualifying. And, you go out and you go, I qualified pretty good. I felt good. It's all I could do. And you're 4 tenths off the leader, but you're in 30th.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's crazy. And then, I seriously still thought I could crack an A main. But it just shows how good those guys are. You just, Manders, Harding, myself and Jake, Jake's been going pretty well, but I feel like myself and Caden are probably up there with, Caden Brown, Harry Stewart, Dylan Menz, some of the best in Australia.
Yeah.
So, Nick, you got these guys that we race with over here that are all the best in Australia, and you're still sort of competing for wins. Over there, all these guys are all struggling. It's just they're just so good over there.
Yeah. Well, you only had to watch the BC 39. I mean, that was a crazy race. The BC 39, like especially this year, I mean, those guys were not even given an inch to anyone, So
no. Even when you watch the GoPro, like you watch the footage and how they run their cars over there is so extremely different to us. They not necessarily setup wise, but even how harsh they are on their engines. We sort of run our gear over here, obviously look after everything, and you might be on the chip a bit hard, and you wind the gear back and you look after it, and you're not banging off the wall, you're not damaging wheels, you're trying to look after your stuff, but like I say, it sort of takes you back to being as smooth and as fast as you can at the same time. Over there, those guys are just on the chip the whole time. You watch that CB Industries, so Chad Boat Racing have got a good on their Instagram, their GoPros over, the racing, over the BC races. And you just listen to how hard they are on their engines. They're all doing that. Yeah. They're all just living on the chip.
Yep.
They just roll in the corner. As soon as they get to the dirt, they're just flat out on the chip. Where I'm sort of running with our engine thinking, am I going to hurt this thing or what? And it sort of plays on your mind, but you don't have time for that stuff to play on your mind over there. They're just, like I say, it's still the best thing I've ever done in my life. Obviously it beat me down pretty bad each night, but at the end of the day, you just look back and look at where you are and look at what you're doing, look at the tracks you raced at and what you're actually doing. And, I had a few people telling me I was a full-time race car driver for a week. It was the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter what happened. I was a full-time race car driver for a week. So,
not really even for a week, mate, because you had 3 washouts.
Yeah.
So you only had 50% of your race meetings, just about.
Yeah, that was a bit of a kick in the teeth. But that opened us up to some other events, which was cool. We get rained out, and over there, you get rained out here, and that's it. You got to drive 3 days to get to another racetrack.
Yep.
Over there, we got rained out, and one night we had a choice to go the high limits, which is 40 minutes away, or Eldora for the late model Dream. You've got 2 of the biggest races. You got a high limits at 40 minutes, or and I was like, well, we got rained out. Eventually, high limits got rained out, so we all went to Eldora to the Dream. And that's what's crazy over there, And some of the guys who were racing that would get rained out at one track. Well, they'd just ring a sprint car team, say, I just got rained out in the midget. can I come run your sprint car? Yeah, no worries, man. So then they go race 2 hours down the road.
Oh,
You know, it's crazy over there.
that's
So.
the guy. That's what you want, isn't it? You know, like,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, no.
But at least you've had the opportunity, because it's not every day an Australian gets the opportunity to go over there and do that. And
No.
I think that's the beauty of today. I think, especially with the young guys racing speed cars.
Yeah.
I mean, like back in my day, like it was just so hard to try and even get, to another state for a young guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Like
So,
that was a big thing we looked at. No matter what the results were, what we did was absolutely awesome. We got to race the best series with the best team, with the best cars. We obviously had the best shot at what we could probably do it ever again. But like I said, regardless of what happened and the result, I got to carry some pretty amazing people. I made some great friendships over there. I got to, I guess, people like yourself, Paul. You wouldn't get to be a part of something like that for a while, and we had a bit of a mix up at the start. We had we wanted to do a bit more with our media stuff, but we had a bit of dramas there. But then we sort of fixed some other stuff, and it was just cool to see all the aspects of it. Like I say, from the media side to the sponsor side to the logistics side of it, organising it all, because we were all a part of it all. It was sort of made everything even more special. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work.
for sure.
But absolutely awesome.
Mate, like I said before, I was so stoked, because every time I've seen you do an interview, I see my name on the side of your car. So and for a small team like who I am, anyway, I mean, I'm only sort of a guy that sort of helps other people out. But in saying that, it was awesome to see my name on your car. So I appreciate that.
No, it was
always good. We need to get Speedcar down under one on the new car.
Yeah.
So driving over there, Paul, the tracks are prepared a lot different over there to what ours are, I presume. Did that make a big difference with the way your driving style was over there?
It's funny how we look at it on videos and stuff, and it doesn't do it justice. They prep their tracks pretty crazy, and then they just leave them. They don't touch them through the night.
Yep.
But in saying that, it's like they use a completely different surface to us. Obviously, they're all on SP3 tires over there as well, which threw us out a bit. You don't have any right rear grip. You got no feel of the right rear at all. Then you try and sort of adjust the car to sort of get that back, and then you hit a hole and it throws you out. So just the way that they prep their tracks with what they have as well. Like, I feel like the way we do our stuff over here, as much as it's volunteers, because the population's so much bigger over there, they have 5-6 volunteers at every track that we went to that are putting in countless hours. When it's harder over here, we've got one guy at most tracks that's, doing everything he can to try and do it. And I guess that's why their tracks go so different, and they sort of are more racy, I guess. But in saying that, most of the tracks we raced at are like, the clay that they use is like, it's like sand.
Yeah, right.
It goes hooked up and rough, and then all of a sudden it's slick with a foot high bloody curb. Like you hit that and it'll kill you.
Yep.
So it's just, I guess it's all part of it. It's just and I guess then another thing that we noticed over there was the safety side of things is pretty crazy. We rocked up to Circle City. No disrespect, but there's a plaque at the exit gate of a young girl that passed away last year in a crash, and she's just hit the wall. That's all that's happened. And instead of fixing anything, they've just gone, all right, we just lost one. It's just, and that it's just it's just an eye opener over there.
Wow.
50s, I guess it's different rules.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have the safety that we have over here, but then again, it's over there. It's a bit more like just common sense and run at your own risk. So, completely different.
Yeah, cool. And your career, I'm looking here. You won the 50 lapper in 23-24, the John Day Classic in 21, the WA title in 21, the Triple Crown in 24-25, the Laurie Matthews Memorial in 2020, and 5 times WA wingless sprint champion. You've got a pretty decorated career, mate, so far, really, and you're still only young.
Yeah, I've been extremely lucky with the opportunities I've been given. like I said, it's I've always just strived to do the best that I could and worked real hard at it. And like I say, just been extremely lucky. But with it's not only me, I guess it's the cars that I was in and the people that I was working with as well. It's everyone in Speedway knows how hard it is to win a race, and to be lucky enough to win so many and so many big races is yeah, it blows my mind really still to this day. So I still pinch myself that I was even doing it. But yeah, it's pretty cool to look back and see the trophies and yeah, see the sort of races that we've won. Really, it's cool.
Yeah, awesome. Any thoughts on going back to America again for another go, or?
Oh, look, I'd love to now. Now I've done it once. I think the second time you go back, you know exactly what you're in for off the start. If the opportunity arises at any time, I'll definitely go back.
Yep.
I've looked at potentially maybe next year. If I was going to go back and I'll definitely go back and do midget week.
Yep.
But like I say, I think the next time you go back, you'd be tenfold better because you're hitting your mark straight away.
Yep.
You know exactly what you're in for. You're not playing catch up the whole time. But yeah, look, if the opportunity's there to do it, or whether I go over with an Aussie or go over on my own or go over with someone else, I'll definitely try and do it next year. Just try and find some funding and yeah, probably start trying to put a deal together. If I obviously got to try and look at something for this season in Australia now, but yeah, who knows? I'd definitely grab the opportunity if I could. Love to.
So when you say that you're trying to look for a package, is that something that you might want to set up yourself, or try to obviously get into another car? Or
yeah, it's hard now. I'm sort of at a stage now. I'm in the middle of building a house and doing everything. With work. I've got a wife and 2 kids as well, so it's pretty hard to at my stage of life now to start to put something together. I feel like I'd love to, I guess. I'd love to float around a bit this year if I can, just to try and find my feet somewhere. Like if I was going to try and find something more permanent, I definitely want to find something where I'm going to be happy and comfortable, where I work with whoever it is, with the team or with the car owner or whatever. Well, and yeah, like I say, I know my racecraft's definitely there, and I'm in a very good position. I sort of teetered the idea in my mind whether I just go and try and do my own thing, but I just feel more comfortable. I think I get more enjoyment out of running with someone and with a car owner, and obviously I've got some terrific partners with me and sponsors that are my personal sponsors as well. So, I think it's just easier for how I'm sort of looking at it to try and slot into a ride somewhere. I know it's not as easy to do that, but
yeah. But in your situation, I mean, that makes sense too, though, in my eyes.
Yeah. I'm sort of, I guess, getting older now, as in the racing world, that I've got to try and find my feet somewhere sort of permanent, I guess, and comfortable. So I'll just play it by ear. I'm going to start making some calls over the next couple of weeks, and yeah, see if I can put the feelers out there and try and put something together with someone. It'd be great.
You're right. You go, Jane.
Sorry, Paul. You've had one go in. You've had a couple of goes in the sprint car, Tom. Any way you could probably head that way, or do you want to stay in speed cars?
Look, I obviously I love speed cars. It's if we had the fields that we had in America over here, it would be hard to leave them. But the hardest thing, I guess, for me in the direction I want to go, like I want to race both, to be honest. But I know it's in a perfect world, that's it's not really going to happen for everyone in Australia. So I'm open to anything, to be honest. I love sprint cars. I'm still a massive race fan, big sprint car fan. Obviously over here in Perth, we've got probably the best series for sprint cars. We're so lucky to have that. Yep. So that's pretty hard to not want to go in that direction. But in saying that, like I say, the best thing I've found with speed cars is the community behind it.
Yep.
That's one thing that no one can ever take away. And when we do go over east and we race those races, it's just unbelievable how much fun everyone actually still has. Yep. Sprint car is a lot more serious. I know when I raced a sprint car a few years ago, it's a whole nother ball game. It's not really, I guess the money steps up a bit more, but you're not there to have a beer and have a feed and have a laugh at the end. You're there to be pretty serious about it, and that's what's sort of why I still love the speed car culture behind it. You know, PSW when we went, it was one of the coolest little weeks we had this year. You know, it's just the community and how everyone got together and helps everyone out and whatever. So, like I say, at the moment, I'm happy to really do whatever. I'm a little bit nervous that I won't find anything, I guess, this year, but I know I'll be happy to be a fill-in driver for anyone if anyone needs anything. So
I'm pretty sure that someone will knock on your door, mate. You're too good of a talent to not have out on the racetrack.
I hope so.
And the family, Paul. Geez, I'm calling Paul now. The family, Tom, got good support there. How's the wife? What's the wife think of you racing and the kids?
Yeah, she loves it. She knows. Obviously, when I broke my back a couple of years ago, she wasn't real pleased about it. She's never going to stop me racing. She knew that, but she sort of was a bit hesitant about me getting back into speed car, just because I know, you know, people sort of carry a bit more injuries in speed cars than they do sprint cars. But no, she's all backing. Extremely lucky to have a good, very good supportive family, and you know, with my mum and Gary Walsh and all the usual sort of people that backed me my whole life, and you know, my kids love it. My daughter Addie, she absolutely loves it. She wants to watch Speedway all the time, and stayed up last night and watched the F1 with me, and so no, I'm lucky to that she supports it and gets behind it all as well.
That's awesome as. What else have we got here?
So how'd you get the nickname Buddha?
I was about to say that.
When so Gary Walsh has been he's been like my dad growing up. He started me in Speedway and everything. So when I was a little kid, Gary was obviously, I was hanging off him all the time because I wanted to go to Speedway and whatever. When I think I was probably 5 or 6, I was quite a chubby kid when I was little. So when I used to crack the shits, I used to sit there with my arms and legs folded, and he a couple of times I looked like a Buddha. So it just stuck. It was only Gary used to call me Buddha boy. And then, like, obviously Gary has a lot of, you know, good mates in Speedway, and sort of I was lucky to travel around Australia with him and everything. So the name sort of spread. Everyone knew me as Buddha and Walsh's young bloke Buddha, and then it just stuck. And now can't really get rid of it. It's not a bad name, I guess, and it's sort of everyone knows that now. So
you could have worse names, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Did you have any heroes growing up, Tom?
In Speedway, plenty of them. You know, I always looked very highly at Max Dumsney, and you know, I guess I tried in my younger days of my racing. With Gary was always, like I say, Gary Walsh has always been very very big on staying humble and being very respectful, and especially in racing with opportunities and who you're racing against and everything. And him and Max were very good mates, they still are. So I guess, you know, hearing Max Dumsney's name when I was a kid was pretty crazy, but to be able to spend a lot of time with him was cool. And I sort of, as I guess I got older, I really took on board what he's like as a person and what he's like with the fans. And you know,
it was my biggest hero growing up.
Yeah. It's just he's always been always had time for everyone, and always gives everyone the time of day. And you know, Speedway is a very small world, and you know, everyone that's involved helps everyone out. So you really got to look after each other and have each other's back. And I always sort of saw that with Max, and but then he could drive wheels off anything. So definitely Max. I know it's a bit cliche. Everyone says Max Dumsney is their hero, but yeah, on and off the track, definitely Max.
Oh well, he was that good of a driver. You know, how could you not idolise the bloke? He's a good driver.
Yeah, definitely.
Favorite track in Australia or America? Like, what's your favorite track you've ever raced on, Tom?
I'm a big fan of over here. So many people get blown away from it, but I'm a massive fan of Allenbrook Speedway. Obviously, the Motorplex. The Motorplex is unbelievable. You got to, you know, everyone needs to race there once. It's the best complex. You know, I know we get spoiled over here and a bit biased, but it is. It's just, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Motorplex yet. You ever been down there?
I've been there once, but a very long time ago.
Yeah, it's just the way it's run. the venue itself, Gavin and his whole team, you know, it feels like you're going to an AFL game every weekend. You know, we're spoiled. But as in a racetrack, I always wish I could race a speed car on them. Never got the chance yet. But Ellenbrook Speedway, I don't know if you guys have heard of Ellenbrook Speedway. It's like 40 minutes away from Motorplex. It's still in sort of suburban Perth, I guess, a little bit out. But I grew up there, going there every weekend. I would have called that my home track growing up. And don't know why. I always just loved the joint. Love racing everything there. Raced junior sedans there, raced wingless there, drove a sprint car there, raced a sprint car there a few times. Never raced a speed car there, but it just always puts on good racing. It's they race on Sundays. We used to call it church. Always going to church because you're going there on Sundays. They only raced on the weekend. They still race on Sundays during the winter. It's good. Awesome little club. Good track. I'd probably still rate that as one of my favorite tracks.
Awesome. And how did we first get into Speedway? Like, what got you involved?
So again, going back to Gary Walsh. So long story short, my sister grew up, or my sister went to school with Gary's daughter. And then it turned out Gary's son was virtually the same age as me. So we all become, I guess our mums met and we all become best friends. And this is when I was probably, 2 or 3 years old. And Gary raced himself. He raced sedans back then. But if you don't know, Gary's the G in the GKR Transport.
Yep.
So, Gary and Smalley or Gary and Kevin have, been a massive part of Speedway forever. And, because Gary raced, and we ended up, when I was about 5 years old, Gary and his wife actually bought the house behind him. So then we actually moved in. We used to rent off them. So I was over Gary's house every day after school, looking at his shed, looking at his race cars. And then as he sort of got out of racing himself, he was a big part of a lot of sprint car teams. And him and Peter Harvey worked pretty close together when Peter Harvey ran World Series for a few years there. So I would do as much as I could to be good at home and do what I could. As the mum would let me go away to World Series with Gary, and I'd go and do probably a month off school or over school holidays, go and do World Series with Gary, and we'd travel around Australia and a lot of stuff like that. And like I say, I never. Hey,
how cool is that?
Oh yeah, awesome! There's a missing school to go sprint car racing with World of Outlaw, World Series. So
that's
oh, it was, yeah, it really was. So yeah, very, very, very lucky. Not to push it out there, but I never had a money backing, I guess. So I never ever thought I'd be able to race. And just extremely lucky that Gary had a wingless there, and obviously was a massive part of racing my whole life. So when I got to the age of, I actually raced a junior sedan for 12 months when I was 10. That was my 10th birthday present. Gary actually had his daughter's old junior sedan sitting there. So we did it up and I raced for 12 months. And I think we both went, this is boring as shit. I was no good. So that was at the time of World Series. So why would you race a junior sedan when you can go and watch World Series? So I didn't race anything. I pit crewed for a long time on a lot of different cars until I was 17. I think I was 17, and Gary one day just said, do you want to come and race at Ellenbrook in the wingless? He had no one driving his car. So jumped in that, and the rest is sort of history. I raced wingless with Gary for probably 5 or 6 years. I think we won the first state title in our second year. And then obviously with GKR helping out with transport, we were lucky enough to go and do each Australian title from then on, and just fell madly in love with racing. And then, like I say, I just don't know how, and pinch myself still today, and how I just kept getting opportunities and opportunities and opportunities. So just being extremely lucky, and I learnt to really talk with people and connect with people and respect people enough to then eventually fall into something else, and just enjoy it, really. Like you could flip a car over and it's sad and unfortunate, but it happens. It's part of the sport. No one intends to do anything. And I think that sort of helped me, just stick with people and enjoy it, have fun. I've just been really lucky.
Credit to you, Tom. You've done well, mate. And
right.
I've got to ask, the hands, mate. What's happened?
Last Tuesday night, I was asleep and woke up to my wife screaming, and heard the dogs going berserk. I thought someone was in the house, so I ran out there, and turns out the dogs. I got two staffies, and they were fighting. So one grabbed this hand, tried to split them up. One grabbed that hand, one grabbed that hand, and didn't think much of it. And then went to the GP. Went to work Wednesday morning, and then I went to the GP, and GP said you got to go to hospital, and end up staying in hospital Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. Ended up getting an operation on this hand, and it turned out to be worse than I thought. So I'm on the mend. Everything's back together. I've still got all my digits. So thought at one stage I have to race tape my hand to a steering wheel. So it's not a
just as
well.
well as
Still
the
move
off
everything.
season.
Still move everything, and lucky that everything's fine. So I'm all good now.
Cool. So yeah, just as well it's off season, not race season.
Yeah, I know. Bloody oath. Next time they fight, if it's race season, I'm not going near them. They can sort each other out.
You got no more races left at the moment?
Nah. I'll haven't, like I say, I haven't really got anything lined up either. So I this year with the wingless national title is at Motorplex. Obviously, I've raced wingless a lot and wanted to, come close a few times to winning an Australian title, I guess, and always wanted to try and win one in a wingless. And this year it's at Motorplex, so I'd be crazy to miss out on that. So I'll definitely put something together, whether I jump back in Gary Walsh's wingless this year, or work on something else. I know I'll definitely be racing that, the national title. Like I say, I want to. I guess the season starts in October, so I'm probably running out of time. But I want to put something together. I know we've got a terrific. Wasda's putting together a terrific calendar over here. We've got a lot of big races this year, and bit of surprise towards closer to the date. I won't announce anything yet, but I'm not allowed to. I'm on the committee, so I can't say anything. But but I think we're gonna definitely have the best series in Australia this season. So
can't even give us just a little hint.
No, I can't. I'm under lock and key. Can't say nothing. It'll be good. It'll all come out soon. We got some big races. I know the S-Slinger series is back this year in Perth, and obviously with high limits back in Perth this year. We're racing over that. The S-Slinger series is racing over that. So, I know there's been some big prize money and some big races, and I know there's another couple of things happening in the background. So that's what I say. I really want to be a part of that this year, and I guess I'll just have to sort of play it by ear, and hopefully I can put something together soon and get the racing happening by October. Be good.
Awesome. We need to get a high limit speed car division going.
Oh, dude.
I know. I've always thought about I know it's hard. It's another expense to everyone and whatever. But even if we did I've always had the idea, almost like not a state of origin, but maybe 2 or 3 of the best guys from each state.
Yep.
And you do 4 races across Australia. You could start it somewhere. I know it's hard, but still have other people in the events that are over there, but you have a bit of a World Series with the 2 or 3 of the best guys from each state. It's easy saying that. I know funding it is another thing, but that'd be it'd be bloody awesome to see something like that.
Yeah, of course it would, especially for speed cars, because I think
that's what I mean. And there's a lot of good guys in each state now. You
of
can
course
pick
there
3 or 4 of the best guys. It's it'd be terrific. I want to see Nick. Nick needs to come over to Perth. He needs to race in Perth. I've been telling him for years. I know it's hard, but a long way. But
he can definitely wheel.
That could be happening.
Okay, well, I hope it does.
We need to get him over there. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I reckon he'd love it. We probably won't. We'll fall in love with it that much.
Oh yeah, it's I think everyone over there, it's one of those tracks that it's the size of it. It doesn't feel that big to race. Well, it does. It's massive to race on, but it doesn't race like a big track.
Oh, I blew out when I went over there because there was lines.
There is. Yeah, multiple every night.
It was just unbelievable, and the speed that they get around it is just unbelievable. And
it's magical.
I've been to Warrnambool and a few other tracks, and I honestly think the Plex is one of the best tracks in Australia.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I know it's biased, but it like I say, we're so lucky to have it here, and it really is. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, well, we might leave it there, Tom and Paul.
Yep, no worries. No,
Thanks
perfect.
for joining us tonight, Tom. And if anyone out there needs a driver, look this man up, because he is a talent that is wasted if he hasn't got a wheel. We need to get him back behind the wheel of something fast. But yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
definitely.
joining us, Tom, and we wish you best luck in the future and all goes well for you.
Yep.
Paul, thanks for joining us as well again tonight. And everyone out there, we will catch up with you next Monday night. And once again, thanks, Tom. Thanks, Paul. And
Thank you very much.
good night, everyone, and we'll talk soon.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks a lot, Tommy. Good to see you, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.